And so the warrior pharaoh laid the foundation upon which the empire was built. It marked the beginning of a new era, a new dawn, and the revival of life for the pyramids. It was the start of a glorious age for Egypt, which is why we call this period the Golden Age. Don't forget to support us, my friend. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Ahmose dedicated his life to spreading peace in Egypt, paving the way for the rebuilding of the nation and the expansion of Thebes, the religious capital, which flourished. One of the pharaohs transformed this city by constructing magnificent temples and unique obelisks. Each obelisk weighed 300 tons and stood 30 meters tall, carved from a single block of granite. Building these towering structures with sharp peaks was a remarkable feat that still puzzles engineers to this day. Obelisks became monumental landmarks that marked the beginning of the New Kingdom era. Their design was bold and innovative, inspiring creativity worldwide in later periods. However, obelisks also carried a mystery. For years, archaeologists knew they were built during the reign of Hatshepsut, but her name was missing from the list of kings inscribed on the temple walls, which served as official records. This puzzling enigma remained unsolved for 3,000 years. In the year 1903 AD, the British archaeologist Howard Carter was working on a tomb in the Valley of the Kings. While examining the sand, Carter discovered a tomb bearing the name of Pharaoh Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut's name had been erased from historical records because this remarkable pharaoh was a woman. At the beginning of her life, Hatshepsut was an ordinary queen. However, after the death of her husband, the throne of Egypt legally belonged to Thutmose, her husband's son. Hatshepsut initially supported him, becoming his co-ruler. This was not unusual at the time. The surprise came with her next move when Hatshepsut declared herself Pharaoh of Egypt. She must have been an extraordinary woman, finding herself as the most significant ruler of her time. The next rightful heir to the throne was Thutmose III, but he was still too young. Acting decisively, Hatshepsut proclaimed herself the ruler of Egypt, transitioning from being a mere regent to a full-fledged monarch. What drove her to take this step? Was it her ambition, or was it the best political decision of her era? She saw an opportunity and seized it. Her desire for power fueled her actions, and she believed that governance could indeed be entrusted to a strong woman like herself, especially one from the royal family. Only 2 women reached the rank of pharaoh before Hatshepsut, but they failed to rule Egypt for an extended period. However, this did not deter her determination. She believed that Egypt would accept a woman on the throne. Above all, the status of women in Egypt was prestigious compared to other civilizations, as indicated by ancient texts. The status of women in Egypt was better than in any other ancient society, but it was still difficult for them to choose their professional future. The title commonly given to Egyptian women was Lady of the House, or more specifically, the wife and mistress of the home. Certainly, Hatshepsut was not a mistress of the home. Women at the time enjoyed several rights, but Egyptians struggled to accept the idea of a female pharaoh. The Egyptians referred to the prevailing life concepts as Maat. The word Maat symbolized the overall order of the universe, encompassing ideas such as the structure of the cosmos, Egypt's place in it, relationships with foreigners, and the belief that Egypt was a powerful and dominant nation. In this worldview, the king had to be male. Hatshepsut understood that the Egyptians would not easily accept her on the throne of Egypt. To legitimize her position as pharaoh and secure her rule, she initially relied on her lineage. Hatshepsut emphasized her status as the daughter of the king. Like Queen Elizabeth I, one of Hatshepsut's defining traits was her relationship with her father. Perhaps it was indeed challenging for a woman to rule Egypt, but we must not forget that she was the daughter of Thutmose III. Similarly, Queen Elizabeth I would meet ambassadors under a portrait of King Henry VIII, subtly reminding them of her royal lineage. Hatshepsut even claimed statements attributed to her father, asserting that he himself had appointed her as his successor. She took this further by inscribing the story of her life on the walls of her temple. In these inscriptions, she narrated how the god Amun had taken on the form of her father, had a physical relationship with her mother, and that the result of this union was her birth. Thus, Hatshepsut was not only the daughter of the pharaoh, but also the daughter of a god. Hatshepsut also took pride in her femininity, which is evident from descriptions of her beauty. However, Hatshepsut was a pharaoh, and a pharaoh was expected to be male. To fulfill this image, she disguised herself as a man by wearing the traditional male kilt and a false beard. Hatshepsut had to carefully choose whom to trust within her court. As a woman trying to establish herself as king, she inherited her father's rule, but replaced the court members with people she personally selected. These individuals had a vested interest in preserving her reign, even if she was a woman, knowing that if she lost power, they would lose everything too. The pharaoh's closest companion was a man named Senenmut. He began his life as a commoner, but his rise through the ranks was rapid, sparking rumors about the nature of his relationship with Hatshepsut. Senenmut advanced from being a soldier in the army to a royal court official, and Hatshepsut even entrusted him with the upbringing of her daughter. His most significant service to the pharaoh, however, was his role as chief architect. He was responsible for constructing Hatshepsut's massive obelisks and oversaw the construction of her most important architectural project, her funerary temple. This temple, meant to solidify her legitimacy as pharaoh, was a monumental testament to her reign. Known as the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut at Deir el-Bahari, it was one of the grandest and most magnificent monuments of the ancient world. Beneath the temple, another tomb was carved into the rock. This tomb further underscored Hatshepsut's vision of eternal legacy and grandeur. Regardless of Queen Hatshepsut's reign, she remains one of the few women in the ancient world who ascended to the highest level of governance in their nations. She exerted great effort to convince the men of her time to accept her as a woman ruling over them. Whether or not she succeeded in persuading them, what she achieved was far greater than what some male kings accomplished. Hatshepsut, meaning foremost of noble ladies, 1508 to 1458 BCE, was the fifth pharaoh of Egypt's 18th dynasty. Egyptologists regard her as one of the most successful pharaohs, holding the title longer than any other woman in Egypt's dynastic history. Her reign was marked by a strong military, significant architectural achievements, and grand naval expeditions sent to trade with neighboring lands. She was the eldest daughter of Pharaoh Thutmose I and Queen Ahmose. Her father had a son, Thutmose II, born out of wedlock, and Hatshepsut accepted marriage to him, as was customary in royal families, to co-rule after her father's death and resolve the issue of a legitimate heir. Don't forget to support us, my friend. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video.